This is Jamba, 12-week-old puppy, and I thought I would talk to you a little bit about grooming a young puppy. Pardon me for chopping my own head out of the picture, but I thought you would be more interested in seeing a cute little puppy than seeing my face. In any case, I've pulled a few of the more common grooming tools out of my grooming kit. And today we're just going to be talking about coat maintenance. One of the most important tools for coat maintenance, I think, is the slicker brush. And if you look at that slicker brush, you'll see these little wires sticking out. It looks very painful. It's actually not painful, but it does take some getting accustomed to for the dogs. He doesn't really need a slicker brush at this point. He's too young to have the dead hair removed from his coat, which is what the slicker brush does. But it's just a matter of getting him accustomed to it. So without making a big deal, we just run that slicker brush along his coat. And you see he's a little bit uncomfortable because he has not had this done before. Now, once you've run this through his coat, you can move around and do the ears, just very gentle. And if you look at the slicker brush, you see there's very little hair that's actually trapped in there. With an older dog, when you run that slicker brush through the coat, you'll see quite a bit of hair come out. And what that's doing is taking out the dead hair. This gets especially important when the dog is older and spayed or neutered. They tend to develop a much thicker coat when they're older and spayed or neutered. And it's tempting to take them to the groomer and just have the whole thing shaved off. That's not, in my opinion, a good idea, because they have an undercoat and a top coat. So this double coat serves a couple of functions. It not only keeps the dog warm in the wintertime, but it also helps insulate them in the summer to keep them cool. So shaving it off is not good for the dog, and it never really seems to grow back the same way. So the slicker brush is, to my opinion, the primary tool for thinning out both the top coat and the undercoat and keeping them free of tangles. Now, if they do develop a tangle, a good sturdy metal comb is the next best alternative. And again, just a matter of getting the puppy used to it at this point. They don't really need it yet, but you just sort of comb, especially the vulnerable areas like the ears. So you want to get the puppy used to having the comb run through his ears, and you can see he's a little apprehensive about that. Maybe just running the comb down his back and his sides right now would be a good alternative. The comb is really useful for getting out little tangles. If the tangle is really stuck, which they tend to get in certain places on their bodies, instead of running the comb the usual way, you can do a pull with the comb where you insert the end, be a good boy, you insert the end into the tangle and pull straight out, and that will help to get those hairs pulled apart. Then we have other tools that are basically strippers, and this is for a little bit more aggressive removal of the dead hair. Again, not necessary for him, but when he gets older. This particular one I happen to like, and if I just run that through his coat, you can see even at his very young age, where he hasn't developed a lot of coat yet, you can see that there's quite a bit of hair that comes out. And that's all the dead stuff, and that comes from the top coat and from the undercoat. And there's a little button you can push to just remove that hair. There are other kinds of strippers available. This is another one. Does the same thing. It's usually referred to as a rake. I think that this particular one does a better job. You can see how squiggly and squirmy he is with these tools, and that's why we start when they're very young, just getting them accustomed to feeling them on various parts of their body so that they don't react this way when they're older. It takes time, but thankfully they don't really need that type of grooming. Right now, basically giving them a good bath with a quality shampoo about once a month would be just fine. One last thing, As he gets older, he could very well develop thick mats, and the mats might be too thick to work out with a comb or any of the other tools that we have. These are called thinning shears, and they're very useful for removing mats. It's tempting with a mat, if it's really bad, to just cut it right out, but that leaves a big gap in the coat. It doesn't look very good. What I would do, and these, by the way, these mats tend to grow right behind the ear there. So if I had a thick mat, what I would do is I would take the thinning shears, and instead of cutting across, I would, excuse me, Jamba, I would take them and put them in perpendicular to his body, so, and then just put it right into the mat and just cut with the thinning shear. The thinning shear doesn't cut completely because it has those little teeth in it, so what it does is it actually thins out that mat. Then you can take your comb and you can work out that mat much more easily. So that's about it for maintaining their coat as far as grooming is concerned. Coming days, I hope to be able to explain a little bit about nail trimming and dental care and that sort of thing. But for now, our cute little Jamba boy says goodbye to everybody and hope you're doing well.